It's my honor to introduce Congressman Sam Graves.
Thanks, Patrick. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I got to change my bio. I'm a grandfather now, so that's the best part of being a father is being the grandfather part. But regardless, we're going to have to change that. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to Washington, D.C. We're in the process of there's a lot of stuff going on right now, obviously in the Transportation Committee, and I'm just going to jump right into it on what we're looking at doing and what we hope to be able to do. But we're going to get busy here pretty quick. There's some oversight stuff that's taking place right now, but then we're going to jump right into the infrastructure package. We've been talking about this for some time. There is a lot of support to get an infrastructure package done. The Senate wants to do something. The House wants to do something. Democrats, Republicans, the President, everybody wants to get something done. I do think we have a fairly short timeline. If we don't have something done, at least out of the House of Representatives by August, I don't believe it's going to happen, simply because of the election and everything that comes along with that. Peter DeFazio has set a deadline for May. He wants to see something out of House Committee, the Transportation Committee, by May, which is a fairly aggressive schedule given the magnitude of what we want to do on the House side. But it is doable, very, very doable. The easy part's filling in, projects and things that we want to do. Those are, and I mentioned that, they are fairly easy. The hard part's going to be figuring out what the price tag is going to be. It's going to be figuring out how we pay for it. Those are two of the biggest issues that we have. We also have to figure out, too, if this is just going to become a reauthorization bill, which we have to start next year, or if it's going to be a much broader infrastructure bill. The Senate, and you'll hear from some of them later, they don't want to do as broad of an infrastructure bill as the House wants to do. So hopefully it'll fall somewhere in between. The House is looking at something much more comprehensive. The water projects in there, obviously aviation, rail, pipeline, highways and bridges. So we're looking at a much more diverse process. How we pay for it, everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. Everything from tolling, which I am not a fan of, to changing completely VMT, which I am a big proponent of, to increasing the gas tax, to a variety of things that are out there. We are talking about those things, trying to figure out which direction we go. In my opinion, we're going to have to spend a lot of political capital to do whatever it is that we're going to do. If we raise the gas tax, which is more and more regressive as we see more and more vehicles on the road that have better efficiency, that simply don't buy gas, period. If we're going to spend that political capital, why would we do it and then turn right back around and have to do something different again? I would just as soon work very hard to replace the gas tax and do something different. VMT is what I have always proposed. I know we got a lot of states in here that are working with pilots that we have authorized in the last highway bill, or looking at alternative ways overall to fund our roads and bridges. And we're taking all of that data, trying to grab all of that data and make a decision on how we move forward. We will give guidance to the Ways and Means Committee. Ways and Means they'll actually do the funding component. There's multiple jurisdictions in this bill. So as far as scope, as far as how comprehensive it is, we have done a few things. Aviation, obviously, we had a lot of plus-ups. There we added $1 billion for small and rural airports outside of AIP. So I'm not sure how much we will do in aviation. We also, with water, or at least the last WRDA bill, the Water Resources Bill, we did some stuff in there. So we'll see just how much we do in WRDA, and then we did some rural broadband stuff in the Farm Bill. So we're trying to decide that now on what how comprehensive the House version is going to be, but it's going to be a bigger proposal than what the Senate probably puts out. Some things I would like to see in there: streamlining. We want to continue down that path. The President is very, very interested, and has just signaled that, to do more streamlining to make the projects easier to be able to move forward. I think that's very, very important, and you all that actually have to implement this, you all know as well as anybody just how expensive projects can be when you bog it down in the permitting process. Technology, we have to incorporate and think ahead on the technologies that are coming out and some of the fascinating areas of world of autonomous vehicles and everything that goes along with that. So we're trying to think about those things as we move forward as well. But those are two areas that I definitely want to see done when we do an infrastructure bill. So I'm excited. I really am. I think we can do this. Peter and I work very closely together. We get along. That's the good news. The Transportation Committee is traditionally, at least in the House of Representatives, has traditionally been a very bipartisan committee. There's no reason why that will not continue. Their side has to do the things that they have to do. Our side has to do the things that we have to do. But beyond that, we do get along. We do work together. We all believe that I won't say transportation, I'll say infrastructure is something that the government should do and should do well. And we all believe that, both sides, and we do get along. We have the largest committee in Congress. Susanna, we at 68, is that the late number? So we're up to 68. We added 3 members on each side this year, which gave the Republicans, I think we have a total of 8 new members. So some of those Republicans, some of those freshmen that have come in. We had a large freshman class this year, and they're all jumping in and running already. So it's going to be an exciting year. It's going to be an exciting year. We just need to get something done quicker rather than later. So I can take questions. We can talk about grandchildren. Which, by the way, my daughter is, I've got one right now. He's 2 years old, a grandson, and my daughter's pregnant again. But we just found out it's going to be twins, so I'm pretty excited about that. So, but she's going to be busy, so she's going to have 3 kids, all under the age of 3, very, very quickly, and 3 in college at the same time.
Missouri being sort of a hub in the United States for interstates and freight.
Yep.
Can you comment, I know y'all have been briefed on the interstate study that was done by TRB related to the interstate system in particular. Could you comment on some of those areas, interstate system, freight as related to the bill going forward?
I actually haven't been briefed on that. You want to brief me real quick? Missouri is in
Neil Peterson here. Neil is an expert. No, there's an outstanding summary book that's about 10 pages. The huge TRB conference that was held in January of 13,000, there were several sessions on that. So we will be sure that you and staff have that summary book.
Absolutely.
It goes forward with 10 recommendations related to the interstate system. A lot of those recommendations relate to some of the things that you've mentioned. I work for a software company, so we're in the middle of technology, of course, and we work with a lot of the DOTs who are moving to 3D modeling for projects, both road and bridge and rail. So the study that was done, very comprehensive, 18 months, I think, was put into that study as instructed by Congress. I think you'll find that as an outstanding resource.
Yeah, I'll pull it and take a look. Missouri, you're right, though. Missouri is kind of center point for everything, whether that's rail or highways. Not so much aviation, but definitely freight moving across the country for sure.
Good morning, Congressman, and thank you for coming to visit with us. You mentioned that you're a fan of VMT or somehow pricing mileage. Do you see that as just a revenue tool, or is that a tool that the states can use to better manage congestion in their respective worlds? I know that when we talk about it in Washington State, a number of people in our rural communities are concerned that because they drive longer distances, they're going to pay more. Perhaps the rate would be lower in the rural areas and higher in the cities during periods of congestion. So do you see it as just purely a revenue vehicle, or do you see it as a management tool?
In D.C., it's being seen as a revenue tool. Obviously, it can be used for much more than that, and I think the states, you all will delve into that a lot more than we will. And there is some, there's a lot of concerns with VMT out there. The first one is tracking. Well, we're not doing tracking. This isn't about tracking. Nobody cares where anybody's going, to be quite honest with you. And if we implement it right now, the problem with it is one of the efficiencies of the gas tax is it's paid on the go. You can't saddle a family with a tax at the end of the year, because a lot of families just simply aren't going to be able to do that. You have to be able to do it on the go. Now, it's going to be easy in the commercial sector right off the bat. They know exactly what their VMT is. In the private sector, it's going to be a little bit different. And I think it'll be a very simple process, at least at first. It's just going to be a formula at the pump. We'll come up with whatever that figure might be for average miles per gallon, and then we'll come up with whatever that figure might be, whether it's a penny a mile or whatever the case may be, and then we just extrapolate what the tax is going to be until we get the technology in there, which I've already seen some of that technology, the odometer talking to the gas pump, the car talking to the gas pump, whatever the case may be, and figuring out, precisely. There's also those options out there too, to be able to, if somebody wants to pay at the end of the year, then, give them that option to be able to do that, or however that, however people want to do, but we can give them that option. But I think it'll be very simple in the beginning until we let the technology catch up. But again, this is a situation where we've never indexed the gas tax. We've never seen that. It's one of the biggest problems that we have when it comes to the solvency of the Highway Trust Fund, which, by the way, goes insolvent in 2022, which is coming right at us. But we've never had any sort of an indexing. It's very hard, and again, I mentioned that political capital. It's very, very hard to get anything done in Congress if it increases taxes. Very hard. Even though people do agree that infrastructure is something that the government should do, the reality of politics is that it makes it very hard. So again, let's spend that political capital on doing something that is a long-term solution, because it's getting worse and worse. I don't have to tell you all. There's a lot of vehicles on the road right now that simply don't pay anything for the use of that road. And it'll be fairly easy to figure out how to do this and apply it to, to compressed natural gas or LNG or to propane or to gasoline. It's going to be a little harder in electrical. We will have to figure that out. It's going to be hard in electrical no matter what we do. But we can solve that. But right now it's being looked at, to answer your question straight up, it's just being looked at as a revenue tool. But there's all kinds of opportunities out there. Now, my district is an extraordinarily rural district. I have all of the northern one-third of the state of Missouri, all the way across the Iowa border. We're already spending more because we have to buy more gas to get from point A to point B. So we're trying to figure out if there is an adjustment, and it's possible that we may have to have some sort of an adjustment factored in there between the rural and the urban areas, because obviously it doesn't account for, in an urban area, you do sit in, there is some congestion, you do sit in and you burn gas, and so you have to, pay for that gas. In the rural areas, we obviously don't have congestion, but we have farther to travel. And that's something that Peter and I are talking about, trying to figure out, what that adjustment is and how we work that out. This isn't going to be easy, but we are. The fact of the matter is, we have to do something different eventually. We have to, because gas is just not a good way to do it. And particularly, there's more and more and more movement for more efficiency, or just moving away from fossil fuels altogether. Ultimately, we'll get to that point, maybe beyond our lifetime, but we're certainly going to get to that point eventually, and so maybe now is the time to make that shift. So, thank you very much, Patrick. It's always good to see Patrick. He's doing a great job in the state of Missouri, and your members of Congress, most, I hope, work very well with your DOTs. I know that's not necessarily always the case. Hopefully, we will be able to get we'll get our directed spending back the way we used to do. I know when I first got started and we were doing directed spending, we always worked with the metropolitan planning agencies and DOT and everybody to work out what those priorities were going to be, and it was a very, very good process, and that's something that we're going to try to get back, and I look forward to continuing to work with you, Patrick, on this. Thanks.
Absolutely. Just want to I want to thank Representative Graves for taking time out of his schedule. He's a true partner in transportation, and he's a great partner in Missouri, so thank you very much.